Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor this is for me to accept this award from the Learning Partnership, an organization that has championed innovation in public education in Canada for over 20 years. I'm grateful to the chair, members of the board, all staff, and in particular, those who recommended me for this award. And special thanks to the Honorable Jean Augustine, Professor Michael Fullen, Bill Hogarth, Mary Jean Gallagher for taking the time to speak on my behalf. In my remarks today, I would like to focus on three themes. One, more equal societies do better than those that are unequal. Two, excellence and equity must go hand in hand. They are not polar opposites, ladies and gentlemen. They're two sides of the same coin. And three, there is a need to foster the entrepreneurial spirit as a key goal of 21st century education. And I'm already seeing evidence of that with the help of the Learning Partnership. The first theme, more equal societies do better. One common factor that links the healthiest and happiest societies is the degree of equality among their members. Unequal societies are bad for everyone, the poor, the middle class, and the rich. The data assembled by Wilkinson and Pickett in their book, The Spirit Level, expose stark differences even in wealthy nations. Almost every modern social problem, poor health, lack of community life, violence, drugs, obesity, mental illness, long working hours, and large prison populations, they're more likely to occur in less equal societies. A good public education is one of the best investments there is today when we consider the cost of educating a child compared to the societal cost resulting from inadequate education. Harvard political scientist Robert Putnam said this: communities which succeeded socially and economically did not become civil because they were rich, but rather became rich because they were civil. There is therefore a call to continue our commitment to developing a caring society, one that fosters a strong sense of civic engagement and that is committed to equity, social justice, and the character attributes that emphasize our common humanity. My second theme, excellence and equity, must go hand in hand. Canada's own international leader, Michael Fullen, and I know Michael is here today. I never speak without quoting Michael Fullen. And he said this to me: the new mission of schools is to achieve 100% success and to have specific explanations and strategies for addressing any figure that falls short of full success. That is a challenge for us as educators. And it means then, ladies and gentlemen, that we cannot say we have excellence if, when we analyze the achievement data, we find that those who are failing belong to specific groups. For example, immigrants, children living in poverty, and boys who, as a group, are underperforming in many countries across the globe. I used to be so concerned about girls in the 70s. Now I am concerned about our boys. They're being left behind. In fact, I was in England recently, and they have a special program for working class white boys. Good for them. Affirmative action can also be good for men. Ontario has been commended by OECD as one of the few jurisdictions in the world that has demonstrated both higher achievement in reading and a smaller performance gap between high and low-income students when compared to the OECD average on PISA tests. It was said that this is a characteristic of education systems that deliver both excellence and equity, a distinction that few countries can claim. I commend Ontario and Canadian educators for their efforts in raising the bar and closing the achievement gaps. But we know that we cannot rest on our laurels. Sustained effort is required. Many countries across the world are making educational improvement a priority in their reform agenda. They have a fierce determination to improve. What does this mean for us? It means, among other things, having a culture of high expectations for learning and achievement. The research is clear, ladies and gentlemen. The two things that have the greatest impact on improving educational outcomes is a focus on instructional effectiveness and leadership development. My third theme, there's a growing need for us to foster the entrepreneurial spirit as a key goal of 21st century education. A good education means educating hearts as well as minds, building character and helping students to become engaged, globally competent citizens and solution finders. We saw that this afternoon. Individuals who can take courageous and ethical stances. Our prodigiously talented students, we've been seeing them today, Generation Next as they're called, must have expanded career pathways. Many of them must become entrepreneurs, individuals who can turn ideas into actions. And I thank the Learning Partnership for their focus in this area. Now, fostering the entrepreneurial mindset in our schools requires qualities, we heard them, creativity, curiosity, imagination, initiative, intelligent risk-taking, collaboration, self-confidence, and opportunity recognition. It requires the values, skills, and desires to solve the complex problems facing humanity. But as educators, we must pay special attention, ladies and gentlemen, to the observations of some leading scholars about our work in education. I'm going to give you 3 of those observations. One, by Yan Zhao. He said this, that the longer our children are in school, the less curious and the less creative they become. 2, by Tony Wagner. High school students who exhibit creative personalities are more likely to drop out of school than other students. And 3, by R.W. Connell. He said, statistically speaking, the best advice I would give to a poor child eager to get ahead through education is to choose richer parents. Ladies and gentlemen, we must prove them wrong. These comments are a call to action. We must redouble our efforts to foster creativity and the 21st century mindsets and skills that our students need to innovate, to create, to survive and thrive, and become globally competent citizens. Our success in these areas will only be fully realized if we work in partnership with business, labor, and industry to further embed these expectations in our systems. I'm coming to the end. As a young girl growing up in Jamaica, I chose the profession of teaching because I felt that I could make a significant difference to children and in enhancing their life chances. I felt that through education we could instill an insatiable appetite for learning and a strong achievement motivation. I knew that education ignites curiosity and promotes, among other things, a high regard for values such as justice, equity, and human rights. Most importantly, it contributes to character development. And we're all quoting Martin Luther King. He said, intelligence alone is not enough. Intelligence plus character, that is the true goal of education. And in my early days as an immigrant to Canada, I was most interested in learning about the values of our political leaders that have helped to unite this country and to shape what I would describe as a mature democracy. I would therefore like to end with a few of these comments, which I hope you will emulate as we do our part in continuing our contribution to nation building. And I'm using prime ministers from different parties, so you don't know to what party I belong. although I'm sure you would guess. Anyway. First, Wilfrid Laurier, Prime Minister 1896 to 1911, had an enlightened vision for Canada. He said this, ladies and gentlemen, "I say it is to our glory that issues of race are ended on Canadian soil. There is no other family than the human family, regardless of the altars at which they kneel. Mighty nations might well come to us to seek a lesson in justice and humanity." And I say to you, that's a legacy we must uphold. Now, in the late 90s, Nelson Mandela asked the Canadian government to assist with national reconstruction in South Africa. I was fortunate enough to be one of the members of the Canadian delegation. A group of South Africans said to me, "Please thank the Canadians for us." I asked, well, what specifically should I thank the Canadians for? They said, "Canadians played a major role in helping to dismantle apartheid." Very few people remember the role of Prime Minister Brian Mulroney that he played in convincing Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan to pursue that goal. And I would say to you, that's a legacy we must uphold. And finally, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, in his 1993 memoirs, he said, "A country, after all, is not something you build like the pharaohs built the pyramids and then leave them standing there to defy eternity. A country is something that is built every day out of certain basic shared values, and it matters how well and how wisely we build that country of the future." I say to you, that is a legacy we must uphold. And in conclusion, democracy and education are inextricably intertwined. Democracy is strongest where education is strongest. Let's strengthen our vision and reaffirm our commitment to ensuring that publicly funded education delivers on its promise to develop civic literacy, build character, and educate hearts as well as minds. Let's continue to move beyond the purely utilitarian purposes of education as we recommit ourselves to the lofty goals of the people such as Plato and Aristotle, who exhorted us through education to create a more just and harmonious society. Let us educate for responsible global citizenship, helping students to understand what it means to be truly human in our increasingly connected and interdependent world. It is my conviction that the Learning Partnership will continue to play a central role in making publicly funded education the hallmark of our democracy. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you share my optimism for the future of education in this province and in Canada. Thank you very much. Thank you.